Okay, so this is the second part of the owl pellet lab. Okay, so we've dissected our pellet. We know what organisms we have. So we're just gonna fill in some information in our data table here and then move forward. Okay, I found 3 organisms there. We're going to assume that we have 2.5 pellets a day. So that would be the number of prey eaten per day, 6 and 7.5. So let's round up to 8. So 8 organisms eaten per day. And then 8 times 7 would be the organisms eaten per week. So that would be 56. And then the organisms eaten per year is 2,920. So we can do the 2,920 there for my owl. So on this, your explain, so your food chain is going to be some sort of a producer or a plant that has like seeds, and that is going to be eaten by your rodent, and then that rodent is going to be eaten by the owl. So we're looking for here a pyramid of numbers. So we're looking for numbers of individuals. So our top, we have 1 owl, and we calculated 2,920 rodents. Okay. And to support that, we would want to put our plants down here on the bottom. Now, using our 10% rule, to support that many rodents, we would need 29,200. And then on the bottom here, you will draw your food web using the information above. Remember, the arrows go in the flow of the energy. So this part of the lab report, what we're really looking for is we're going to be constructing a pyramid of not numbers, but simply biomass. So remember, biomass is the amount of living material that is consumed here. So we are going to take our number of prey eaten per year, which in my pellet was 2,920. We're going to multiply, mine were all rodents, mice or voles. We're going to multiply that by 20, an average of 20 grams each, and then come up with the amount of biomass for the prey that is consumed annually. Then we want to convert that to kilograms instead of grams because it's going to be a big number. Remember that the prefix kilo is simply 1,000. So to get from mass to kilograms, or from grams to kilograms, you're just simply going to divide by 1,000. And then to calculate how much biomass is eaten by the prey, we're going to take the mass in kilograms of prey and multiply it by these numbers here to get the biomass eaten by the prey. Once you get those biomass numbers, then you're going to be able to construct a pyramid of biomass as opposed to a pyramid of numbers. So under the elaborate part of the lab report, and we want you to make sure that you show your work here, is that we want to calculate how many times more energy the producer level is versus the primary consumer or the herbivore level. To do that, you're simply going to take your first trophic level and divide it by the second trophic level and round and show your work. And then we take and then down here, what we're asking about is how much more energy is the top consumer, our owls, versus the the primary consumer, the rodents. So again, you would simply take those two biomass numbers and divide them. We're continuing with some calculations here to calculate the amount of energy that is lost going from the first trophic level to the second trophic level. In other words, from the producers to the primary consumers. You're going to use your percent change formula. So your percent change formula is the starting amount, that would be your producer, the ending amount, that would be the amount of biomass available at the primary consumer level, and then divide that by the starting amount. That will give you some fraction, and then you're going to multiply it to change it into a percent. And then I would like for you to do that energy lost from the second to the third trophic level as well. So the rest of these questions here are asking you to apply some of the concepts that we've been talking about in our video lessons and in class about the second law of thermodynamics, and also predicting what might happen if one particular part of the food chain were to experience a disease and the population were to go away. And describe another situation using the organisms, another cause and effect situation using the organisms on the food web you've constructed. So each individual student from your pod is going to be turning in a copy of the calculations. But your pod is going to be turning in what we are calling a lab report, but it's not technically a lab report, it's a document. So the pod is going to turn in this right here as a group, but each individual student needs to turn in their handwritten lab sheet, their 5E with their calculations and so forth. So the document that I would like for you guys to turn in as a pod will have an introduction, introducing the topic and relating it to the material that we've been learning about in class. So you can talk a little bit about what owl pellets are and why they are useful to study them in terms of looking at food chains and food webs and ecological relationships. Just a summary of what you found, a little data table that summarizes what you found in terms of numbers and biomass and what you calculated. And then instead of a conclusion specifically to what you found, what I would like is for you guys to write a CER, a claims evidence reasoning paragraph that addresses this particular hypothetical scenario. In this particular hypothetical scenario, we have an environmental problem where a farmer is getting a lot of his profits eaten by rodents. So, talks about that. That just needs to be one paragraph, and make sure that you have your claim, your evidence, and your reasoning, and you're able to sort of tie it back to the lab.